Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're taking another look at space engineers. In this particular video, I'm going to show you a ship build concept that I did a while ago. I actually have two ships that fall under this concept. Now, this is actually a concept that took quite a bit of development. Essentially, these are solar ships. Now, they are small ships, but as you can see, they're rather sizable. I'm going to go over this one in a little bit. I'll start over with this one. This was actually my first prototype, and it does look pretty ugly because I retrofitted some ship systems on it since it was originally built. It did not have a battery or conveyor systems. Neither did the other ship. And as a result, I kind of had to pipe the conveyor systems around the already existing ship, and it's a little bit of an eyesore. And this around here is kind of a little bit ugly because I had to allow for the thrust of the engine thruster, whatever you want to call it, here to make sure it didn't melt anything. So it's a little crude, but it's functional. Essentially, it has a battery, these solar panels, which allow it to work without reactor power, at least in theory. And there are a couple reactors on this thing too, so let's go ahead and fly it around. There we go. And we can see in our... Oh, actually, I want to bring up our little system here so we can see what our energy production is. And I believe I had things... Okay, so yeah, I had this set up so that I could turn off the power pack, which is essentially the reactors. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. And we can see the power production with just the solar arrays. And if we move around... Actually, I don't know if the battery is on too. Let me just make sure... Okay, that is on. So I'm going to turn it off just so we can see what happens when we don't have the battery on. So this more or less can operate without anything, but as you can see, it's pretty easy to overload the systems. So you definitely need that battery power for it to operate. So if we go ahead and go back and turn our battery back on, you can see that now I can fly it, and pretty much it operates fine with just that one battery, no overloads. And at least the idea of both ships is this is a long-range recon ship. Essentially, you can get this going, turn off your dampers, just get it up to speed, to its max speed, and then once it's up to speed, you just lay off, and now you're at that speed, and this whole time your solar array is going to be recharging your battery. So you can angle yourself toward the sun, wherever that is, to get your max power out of your solar panels until you charge all that stuff up. And that's pretty much the idea. So let's go ahead and go back to our... And I turned that antenna on very long range so that I could find it again. So let's go ahead and go back to the other ship, and we'll talk about that. So as you can see, this is a pretty interesting ship in the way that the rotors and batteries work together. You essentially don't need the reactor power. I do have a couple reactors on here purely for emergency purposes. In case your battery runs dead and you're in a spot where you don't get any sun on your solar panels, you do have the ability to... Ooh, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Obviously on this, the thrust is not very well balanced. It's essentially designed for straight line speed, and that's about it. It does have a couple guns on it, just 2 Gatling guns, and that's about it for its armament. And everything's hooked up by conveyor systems and what have you. Now this ship, in my opinion, is much more elegant looking. I also have a second ship attached to it. Now, as you can see from this solar ship, it is a lot, bigger. And with this ship, the original concept, this was built before batteries existed. So the original concept was to get a ship that would run purely off of just solar panels. So this is how many solar panels you need to get a ship that would run without needing any other power. But It does have a couple reactors on it, I think 2 or 3, but those 2 or 3 reactors are not enough to charge these batteries. So essentially I built a second ship with a bunch of, well, 3 large reactors, and essentially they hook up to each other, and this ship is just purely just to recharge, but also it is a cargo ship. It has to have some cargo capacity on it, so it can also reload this ship. So as you can see on this ship, it has a conveyor system that runs along it, and these are cargo containers throughout. So you have, and I do need to upgrade this to the newer rocket launchers that can be reloaded, so that is one upgrade I'm going to have to do to this. But essentially the Gatling guns are all hooked up to this conveyor system, and you can utilize that to reload it. So this is a ship that can really operate for a really long time without supply due to all of the cargo capacity it has. One downside to this is where the weapons are mounted is depending on how you're turning the ship, you'll actually chew up the front end of your ship with the guns if you're not careful. So that is one downside to the ship. It does have an antenna, so you can broadcast information, I guess, or what have you, long distances. So let's go ahead and get in our recharge ship. These batteries are all recharged, so they're good. And disconnect from the ship. So we got our recharge ship out of the way. Ooh, there's a little bit of banging going on there. I wonder what that was all about. Oh well. Something happened back here. I'm not really sure what, but that's something that can be ironed out. I don't know what happened. I think maybe an engine got knocked off here because there's this dead space here. There's probably another engine there. I don't know what happened to that engine. So there might be a slight flaw in that design. But in any case, the idea behind the ship is that it can run pretty much purely off of solar power. So let's go ahead and hop in it, and we will turn off the various systems. So I do have battery packs here, so we can turn that off, and we can also turn off our power pack. So everything's off, and now the ship's gone really quiet, and you can see the power that it's producing. And if we go ahead and thrust up, you'll notice the power usage. I'm going to go ahead and switch to third person, although you can't see a whole lot because of the solar panels in third person. One advantage, though, to this ship is that in first person mode, you actually do have pretty good visibility, left, right, up, and down, the way that the placement was. That's one of the reasons why I put those panels further out, those solar panels up on the front further out, so you do have good visibility. But also, there was a problem with these big sails here on the side. Depending on the angle, they would block the sun to the solar panels in front. So that's one of the reasons why I put them out further out, so that the shadow of those sails does not block the sails, the front sail. But in any case, if we go ahead and thrust up, you'll note that even under heavy maneuvering, the power usage is perfectly fine with just the solar panels. So we have massive batteries that allow this thing to operate no matter what the situation, even under heavy damage. If this thing took a lot of... Okay, so we did have quite a bit of overloading there, and that was just because we got out of the optimal alignment with the sun. And so in those cases, those few cases where we're going to be out of alignment of the sun or what have you, we have our batteries to back us up so that we're never going to have an overload. And also, in a world where you have asteroids and stuff, if you get blocked out by the sun, those batteries are going to provide you with enough power, well, definitely enough power, because you saw how many batteries are on this thing, so that we can operate without needing the reactors. Now, we have a few backup reactors in case those batteries fail or what have you. But I'm actually not sure if they're enough to power the craft. If you were to turn off the solar panels and everything, I'm not sure if they're enough to power the craft. One downside of this ship, it's quite heavy after I added on all the batteries and what have you. And it is a little bit on the slow side. That is something that I hope to refine in the future. Increase the speed of the ship. And hopefully that's something I can upgrade as time goes on. And I'm also noticing another issue here, a little bit of melting going on here with the large thruster. I don't know why that happened at all. I have no clue why that melted, because maybe it was these thrusters here did that? I kind of wonder. It almost looks like it melted here. I wonder if that's a glitch with an update or what have you. But last time I loaded this in, I had no issues whatsoever with this ship. And suddenly I'm having problems with the large thrusters. They're like melting the ship. Odd, very odd. But in any case, as you can see, this is a very functional ship. It works very well without needing reactors at all. And that was the overall idea behind it. And as you can see, the way the ship's angled, it's not very optimal to those two sails there. They only have the one bar, but this one is collecting pretty good sun. So the problem with the sail ships is you do have to orient yourself pretty well with the sun, but those batteries allow it so that you don't really need to worry about it too much, because they give you enough power. I mean, look how many batteries I have on this thing. Pretty much overkill, but with the size of the ship, you know, I think aesthetically the ship looks really nice. And I really like it. So hopefully you like this idea too, and it's something that maybe you can implement yourself. And it's pretty simple. You just have to have these giant solar sails. It's a very basic ship. Not a whole lot to it beyond that. You're just pretty much attaching the you're making a rough pod around your cockpit, and you know, putting on enough engines to get the thing to work, and that's pretty much it. I did reload into this. I just wanted to kind of film this and kind of figure out what the heck's going on. So this is the way that the recharge ship looked like before it was damaged. As you can see, there's nothing anywhere near this thruster that should have damaged it. So it must be some kind of glitch in the current build. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out here, and we're going to back out and see what happens. Alright, so we're backing out. Yeah, for whatever reason, it just, once it started thrusting, it damaged that one, but not the other. I don't know why. That is so weird. Okay, so that is that ship. Now let's see what happens to this ship when we thrust. I'm wondering if this is just a problem with a more recent update that it is doing that. Alright, so I shouldn't have, let me just see, I shouldn't have any obstructions. Okay, maybe we need to angle ourselves a little bit out of the way here. Okay, so let's see what happens when we thrust. As soon as I thrusted that engine, it melted away. Huh. Very odd. I wonder if this is just all large engines are doing that. So this one has a large engine right here. And let's see what happens with this. Let's see if this melts too. So let's go ahead and thrust. Okay. Apparently nothing's happening. Huh, very odd. Okay. So I'm gonna reload this and see if we can figure out what's causing that issue. Alright, so we're back, and I'm looking at the back of the ship here, and I'm thinking, let's delete these thrusters here, and then see what happens. I'm almost curious if it's because of the way the thing's mounted, maybe, that is the difference. Let's see. Alright, so with those thrusters deleted, let's see what happens. So let's angle the thing around. Let's get a close-up of the engine in question, and let's thrust it. Okay, so apparently it's fine now. Not really sure why all of a sudden that is now an issue. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, let's see something. if I put another, I want a large ship block, so let's get one of those. I mean a large engine block. Okay, they did some changes here. Let's see if we can figure out, what... There we go. I want this, and I want it... I don't care this. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Let's put that on. Alright, so these two shouldn't cause any issues with each other, but let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay. Alright. Doesn't seem to be any issues. Okay, so that was a pretty easy fix for this particular ship. Apparently the way that those small engines were placed were the issue. Not really sure why, because they were not behind, they were actually next to the other block. So I'm almost wondering, is that going to be a problem for some other designs I've done? No. For whatever reason, my inertia dampeners were not on when I exited out. So I kind of fixed the problem with this ship, but I have no idea what the problem is for some of those other ships, like that recharge ship. What was the problem with the recharge ship? I don't understand. I must have flown pretty far because I do not know where the heck the other ships are. Oh, they're there. So the thing's definitely faster when it doesn't lose engines. Okay, so let's get out. And again, our inertia dampener was turned off. I don't know why. Okay, let's get over here. And let's look at our recharge ship and figure out what the heck is going on with this thing. Because essentially, the way the engine was set up, and I kind of already showed this, is it had a large ship, large engine, large thruster, or whatever, here. And for whatever reason, it was being destroyed when I had those two ships. But this should be exactly the same as the other ship. I mean, what's the difference? So let's see. Okay, seems fine. Okay. Alright, so why all of a sudden does that work, but in the previous setup it didn't? I don't know, I kind of wonder, maybe it was just because it had been a little while since I've loaded in this world, that there was maybe some issues with older data or something. But this is exactly the setup that was on the ship before, and this time the engine is not blowing up. So I almost wonder, with my other ship, if I could put it back the way it was, and then all of a sudden it would be fine again. Because that's what this is kind of leading me to believe. Okay, so I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to take these around. I'm going to put the same engine configuration that was on the ship before I changed it, and we'll see what happens. I bet you nothing happens. I bet you it doesn't get destroyed at all. Okay, and thrust forward. See, no issues at all. So, apparently, it had something to do with some kind of corruption in the game file, and I have no idea what the heck that issue was. It's not the first time I've encountered stuff like this when updates go on. It, like, screws up the way your ships are built. I actually had this issue with the large ship build I had, not with the thrusters, but something else. That maybe I'll show you eventually if it's still like it was. So this is a real problem when they update the game as often as they do, is for whatever reason these weird bugs happen. Well, in any case, this is Mouse Gunner signing